A long time ago, a little boy named Paul lived with his mother and father in a small house that was made of wood. Paul's family was very poor. His father was a woodcutter, and his mother made clothes for rich people in the city. Their house was in the middle of a large forest in Africa. In summer, the days were long, and the birds kept singing songs to each other. Paul's father taught him the names of the different birds, and soon he knew all their songs. But in winter, the days were very short, and the nights were very cold. There was snow everywhere. The forest became quiet, since the birds flew to warmer countries for winter. One winter, Paul got sick. His mother made chicken soup and tea for him, but he only got worse. A doctor from the city came to see Paul. He spoke to him for a while, and then looked at him. Then he spoke to Paul's mother and father.
He's very sick, and I don't know what's wrong with him. This winter, many young children all over the country are getting sick and dying, and nobody knows why. I'm sorry, but there's nothing that I can do to help. Give him lots of healthy things to eat, and make sure that he gets lots of sleep.
Over the next few days, Paul got worse. He became more and more sick. He stayed in bed all day and lost interest in his toys. His father tried to make him forget that he was ill by bringing him small things from the forest, but Paul wasn't interested in anything. His face turned pale, and he didn't want to eat. Some nights, he had a fever, and then he dreamt of flying above the forest, looking at his little house far below. One morning, after a very bad night, Paul woke up and found his father looking at him.
Is there anything you need?
His father asked.
Yes, there is, Father. I miss hearing the birds' songs. Can you catch a bird and put it in a cage for me? If you hang the cage above my bed, I can listen to the birds sing and remember the sounds of the forest.
Of course, little Paul. I'll bring you a bird tomorrow,
said his father, smiling. However, he knew that since it was winter, there were no birds in the forest. This was the only thing his son wanted, and he couldn't give it to him.
Maybe you can make him a bird out of wood. You can use one of those small pieces of wood that we usually burn on the fire,
said Paul's mother. It was a cold, snowy day, and cutting trees in the forest was difficult. But all day long, while he worked, Paul's father thought about how to make his son a bird out of wood.
Of course, it'll never sing, but maybe, if it's very beautiful, little Paul might like it,
he thought to himself. After dinner that night, he started making the bird. The first few attempts didn't turn out well. The birds he made were too fat and heavy to fly. He put them one by one in the fire and felt sad. It was now midnight, and snow was still falling outside. Then he had an idea.
I know. The bird should be made from just 2 pieces of wood. If I cut the wood carefully, I can add real feathers to the bird.
First, he took a piece of wood for the head, body, and tail. He began cutting the wood into feathers with his right hand. He cut them out carefully. It took a very long time, since sometimes the feathers would break and he would start again. But in the end, he finished it. As the sun was beginning to rise, he showed the bird to his wife.
It's beautiful, but it's not finished yet.
She said. She took a needle and a thread and carefully sewed the ends of the tail feathers and wing feathers together. Soon, the feathers were all connected, just like on a real bird. Then she tied a long thread on the bird's back so they could hang it above Paul's bed. They looked at the bird together.
Now that it's ready, I'll take it into little Paul's room,
said the woodcutter. Paul was asleep. Very quietly, the father hung the bird above Paul's bed. He stepped back and looked at it. Later that morning, he went back to Paul's room. The bird was turning slowly above Paul's head. His son was looking at the bird carefully. There was a light in his eyes for the first time in many weeks.
It's beautiful, Father. Thank you. But I've never seen a bird like this before in the forest. What's its name?
That's a good question. I'll find out and tell you tomorrow.
The next morning, when the woodcutter entered his son's room, he found the boy sitting up in bed, trying to touch the bird.
The last time Paul sat up in bed was many weeks ago,
he thought.
So what's it called, Father?
Paul asked.
I'm still not sure.
His father replied. That night, Paul's father went into his son's room and quietly made the thread a little shorter. Now the bird was hanging a little higher above Paul's head. 2 days later, he found Paul kneeling on the bed, trying to touch the bird. His hand was very close to it.
Have you found out the name of my bird, Father?
Paul asked.
Not yet, my son. I'll tell you later,
his father replied. Once again, the father went into his son's room at night and raised the bird a little higher. 6 days later, Paul was standing on the bed, inches away from touching the bird.
Father, help me. I want to make it spin,
Paul said.
Keep trying. It's not as high as you think,
his father replied.
And when will you tell me its name?
Very soon, my dear son,
replied his father. 8 days later, Paul's father was cutting wood when he heard strange noise coming his the house. He quickly ran to his son's bedroom. Paul was jumping up and down on his bed, laughing. Above his head, the bird was spinning very fast.
Look, Father. I touched the bird. Now please tell me, what's its name?
Shouted Paul happily.
It's called the bird of happiness,
his father replied, and his mother, who was standing at the door, smiled to see her young son so full of life once again.